And here we go again, against the odds. It doesn't take a genius. Here are Mark and Mike.
Oh, Mike, I would like to apologize. You mentioned get a background that has to do with an Amazon. I thought you meant a river, but I can tell by your background that you mean the company. Whoops.
Yeah, that was miscommunication. And that's not the topic of this particular podcast. You could have just as likely shown up with a picture of Wonder Woman behind you. Amazon, so
I
an
see what you did there.
Amazonian. Very clever. So,
So
yeah,
what? You
that's
got a
right.
bee in your bonnet? You have
I
a
do
bee in
have
your
a bee in my bonnet. What does that mean, really? And who among our listeners under the age of 70 will understand what the heck you're talking about?
I
No,
that was prejudice, but go
Amazon.
ahead.
So as many of our listeners know, we do a lot with the car business, and it's been in the news that Amazon has entered into an agreement to buy 50,000 trucks from Rivian, an electric, all electric vehicle manufacturer.
Yeah.
And so that's got the attention of many manufacturers, because as many local business owners always hypothesize, what would happen if Amazon, you woke up one morning and Amazon had decided to do your business, right? Had decided to enter into what it is that you do for a living. And here we
Yeah.
see a case where Amazon is jumping into the car business. They're gonna source 50,000 vehicles from this one manufacturer. They're gonna leverage their distribution center system so that when these vehicles need parts, whether an Amazon drone is going to drop the part off, at least we know that the part will be there the next day.
Yeah.
And doing all the things that Amazon does to a business is got the attention of not only retail store owners but manufacturers as well.
Well, and to make it just that much of a juicier topic, I remember a few years back, Amazon acquired a used car dealer license in Europe, and that's one of the things that they're good about doing is making bold bets. They don't leverage the company and make a bet, but they are experimenting with the car business yet again, and so it's coming. Something is coming.
Oh yeah, and the business world is terrified. I remember when they purchased Whole Foods. So
Yeah.
Amazon purchases Whole Foods. The very next day, the stock price of every publicly held grocery store chain in America went down.
Right.
The price just dropped. Like Amazon's here, we're doomed. It's
Yeah.
all over. So.
Yeah.
Whether it comes to fruition or not, there is that sense that these guys are good. So the question becomes, how do you Amazon-fy? Oh, I made a new word. Amazon-fy your business.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. Well, so what are the things that you would do if Mike Marshall Enterprises suddenly woke up and had Amazon as a competitor?
Well, I think the first thing that you'd have to do is become insanely customer centric.
What? Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're here talking about Amazon, the competitor. Aren't we being competitor oriented right now?
Yeah, we are being competitor oriented. So how can I be competitor oriented and customer oriented? Good point. So what I'd have to do is I would have to let the initial shock focus me, for a second on, okay, a competitor is into my realm, and then immediately pivot from worrying about them to worrying about my relationship with my customers. And what is it that Amazon does for customers that cause them to just keep coming back and just keep spending money?
And isn't that almost from day one? I mean, if you go back to watch Jeff Bezos interviews when he had hair, one of the first things he's saying is, who cares about the stockholders? The stock price is not our focus. It's the customer. We're going to win by doing what is absolute best for the customer. And in fact, I've heard him say that his employees are quote unquote missionaries about that. And I do think there's a whole parallel there. Maybe it's a little creepy for some people, but there's a real parallel between things that the church has done over the years and how Amazon operates over the years. They really are evangelists for a different way of thinking and serving people, taking care of people. So I suspect as we continue through this conversation that's something that will come up. So,
I think,
all right. So a customer focus, what does that look like though?
well, when you think about, making the customer's life very simple, very easy, very efficient, the one button, buy it now. Just, I've heard so many people talk about, I have it. It's the worst thing I ever did, and I love it. Like, what? Thanks for sharing that, Sybil. So the list, right? So people who purchased this have also purchased this.
Yeah.
I now don't have to go out and ask my friends, hey, when you bought this, what else did you have to buy to go with it? Or when you bought this, did you like it? And if you liked it, what was it that you liked about it? They give me all that. They give me my network and they provide it to me so that I don't have to go out and do all that legwork myself.
Okay.
The reviews are there. My favorite Amazon story is they inadvertently built a list for drug dealers. And so they had this product, right? This little small scale. And then it said, people who've purchased this scale have also purchased little small plastic baggies, small labels. It's like, well, that was an unintended consequence of the algorithm, but it gives you a sense of, how far this thing could go in making your life incredibly simple and easy to do business with. And so I think the question you have to ask yourself is, are you easy to do business with? Yeah.
And I think, one of their leadership principles also is to deliver results. And, Bezos has talked about that from the perspective of there are inputs you can control that lead to the outputs. So the ultimate results, it's just like we've talked about with the 4 disciplines of execution. We've got some wildly important goal we're going toward, but it's the stuff we do that get us there, the lead measures that end up with this lagging, wildly important goal measure that matter. And one of the best ways to do that is get rid of defects in your system. We work with car businesses. Do you have a lot of comebacks in your shop? Have you kept your customers informed? Is there a dirty car at sales delivery? All these different opportunities for a process to get refined so that you don't have those defects that are ultimately causing people to say, well, you weren't easy to do business with, and then they leave.
Oh yeah. I was in an automotive retail store the other day, and they had a list of customers that they had to have the customer come back and re-sign their paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so what's the most fun part about buying a car? The paperwork. Right. And now I get to do it again, and I have to take time to work and drive. Oh, please. You can almost hear the customer going, please, Amazon, please buy this store. Amazon, buy it. It's just painful to think about customers driving back to have to recreate something because we weren't efficient. We weren't accurate in the initial steps.
And sometimes we are not accurate and efficient because it's a baton handoff between departments. This is any business in the world, right? There's a communication opportunity between 2 departments, 2 different roles, and we botch that because we're not thinking about the whole thing. We're thinking about just our team, just our part of the pie. Well, Amazon's the opposite of that, right? They think like owners. They have a long-term vision for what they're trying to accomplish, and that might mean in the short term we do something in our department, in our role, that's not what we want to do. It doesn't help us in the short term, but in the long term, it's what's best for the customer, and it keeps them from having to come back and have another paperwork experience with us.
Oh yeah, if I was customer obsessed, then I wouldn't have to, I would be checking to make sure everything was right, no matter what level I was at.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't wait for the quality check, which in the automotive retail, it's the office. So the office goes through and makes sure everything's there, and then they kick it back to the managers and say, hey, there's pieces missing.
Right.
That would never get to the office. I would make sure that while the customer was here, it was accurate, and ultimately make the process simpler. And so there would be ownership of the process at every level. So that the process would be efficient, it would be customer centric, and it would be fun for them.
You never say that's not my job.
Exactly.
And I think, again, the missionary perspective is important here, because the missionary's perspective is eternal impact, right? So I'll go through whatever short-term pain I need to go through for the long-term impact of having somebody get to know Jesus and be with him in heaven forever. Well, that's, there's a lot of martyrs. There's a lot of martyrs in the church, and Amazon has a lot of people that are really obsessive about this and really giving their heart and soul. The question for every client out there, every listener out there, how many of your people are really that engaged in your company?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about employee engagement and what that looks like, and here's a perfect example. And when you think of engaged employees, you would want them to be focused on the now, but the far as well.
Yep.
And to have that infinite game mindset of we're going to do this, and there's an investment being made now, and that investment's going to pay dividends for a long time to come.
Yeah.
And I think you see that with Amazon. They're not making a lot of money per product, but if I become your exclusive supplier for all your products, I don't have to make a lot of money per product. I just have to, keep you for a lifetime and expand the spider web of offerings so that I'm making money on every aspect of your life, whether you're purchasing laundry detergent, electronics, or shoes.
Yeah, and ironically, I think it's Amazon Web Services that really makes the money for them. So, there's not even that, product transactional profit coming in that's making that much of a difference. And yet, meanwhile, they've taken all of our lunches, so many different businesses' lunches, and they're looking for legacy. Like, that's the long-term result that they really want, is that they change how customer orientation works for a number of industries, that's the legacy that they leave as the company Amazon. It's not the stock price even. It's something beyond that. And then, oh, by the way, the stock price is doing just fine as a result of that truly long-term focus.
Oh yeah, and that gets into Simon Sinek's talk about, when he did a conference for Microsoft, he did a conference for Apple. At the Microsoft conference, all they talked about was beating Apple.
Yeah.
The Apple conference, all they talked about was making the products easier to use for customers.
Yeah.
And
so
yeah.
One little thing about that, I don't want to go too long here, but I know there at some point Microsoft had a conference where one of their web services, they went off site and they used it. They said, we're gonna have a meeting, a workshop where I think it was they were all going to program something over the course of the day in groups, something like that. And so they all went off site to use this web service they had created, and they couldn't figure out how to log in. And that was a wake-up call moment, a crisis moment, just like you're talking about, where a lot of car businesses right now are saying, whoa, this Rivian purchase, oh boy, this is a warning bell to us. We need to shake it up. We need to disrupt ourselves. And so hopefully that's what this podcast is encouraging people to do, is give yourself a moment of disruption. How would you change things?
Well, yeah, and think about the disruption. Answer this question: if you were to wake up tomorrow morning and found out that Amazon had purchased its way into your business,
yep,
what would you immediately have to do differently?
Yep.
What would you have to do differently if Amazon walked into your world? If you're an individual, right? Yep. The question becomes, in what way is working with you better than going online?
Mm.
And yeah, what is it that separates you from an algorithm and a website that
Yeah.
makes customers want to become loyal fans of yours, right? As how do you as a missionary create your followers?
Yeah.
Right? How do you create true fans, whatever you want to call them?
And if your answer to that question is, well, they have to come to me, you might have missed the prompt. You
Yeah.
might have missed the prompt, because Amazon's going to figure that out, because they're customer obsessed, they're customer oriented, and they're going to figure out a way to tackle that business, a la creating a drone army. Who would have guessed, even 10 years ago, that we'd be talking about something so George Jetson-y, and yet here we are.
Yep.
So
Well,
I think it's a big deal.
it goes back to our change formula. And
Yep.
so we know that an element of change is discomfort.
Yeah.
So while you may not have this discomfort right now, we're asking you to imagine the discomfort of Amazon walking into your world.
Yep.
And let's take action now. Let's begin to make these moves now, so that when it does happen, we're better able to fend off this competitive charge.
All right, and I want to, give a little bit of hope here for those who are saying, I'm in a business that is so old-fashioned. It's not changed for a long, long time. Look, you could say that the church is pretty timeless too, right? And yet look at all the innovations in the church over the years. The creation of monasteries. Frankly, it saved Western civilization, preserved so many documents that came to light during the Renaissance and became so important to the Enlightenment and modern Western civilization. Look at, in America, they had the camp meetings, which was this new way of, it was sort of like the mega church of its time. And I'm down the road from where the Cane Ridge revival happened, and that was 10,000 to 20,000 people in the frontier lands, basically having a communion service for the first time. To today, there are mega churches like Andy Stanley, who's a big leadership expert. Andy Stanley, his church has "Make It Better" as one of their slogans. They're innovating right now, to the point that his church was the first one to have a multi-campus worship service where there's one speaker in one location and it's telecast to the other locations. We could go on and on and on about the ways that even something as old and timeless as the church has innovated, you can do it too. There is a way forward. You just have to really believe that there's a way forward.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. My daughter's attracted to. Oh, we have a special guest.
Speaking of daughters, mine wandered upstairs. So
my daughter's attracted to the church that she's heard about, where they have a rock band. It's a gospel rock band every morning, and she's like, the music in our church it makes me sleepy. like I heard there's a church where there's jamming and happy music.
Right.
So they're already. Yeah, these innovations are trying to woo her over, to a different denomination.
Well, and I, and even in the, I'm sorry, my daughter just wandered upstairs to the office. I don't know what happened, but here she is. So, Veronica, would you like to say hello?
We're not pandering to our audience by introducing small children that are adorable.
Why not? Let's make sure this is the screenshot for this episode.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I really do think that. That it's not it's not about the rock band. It's about it's in Scripture. Let's be all things to all people. Paul says, "Be all things to all people," and a company can do that too, right? I mean, I don't want to be sacrilegious here, but I think there's a real opportunity for us to get into people's shoes and say, okay, what are your pain points? How can we address those pain points? How can we make your life better? How can we bring value to you? That's capitalism to me. Capitalism is bringing value and creating wealth as a result. So I want to really encourage people to do that. And if you're lost right now, you know that there's a problem, but you don't know how to go about innovating and coming up with a plan here. I know two guys that you should definitely email and reach out to. And I've always heard that they're good to work with. So not a sales pitch, but I do think that it's important. Do something with this. Don't let this moment of dissatisfaction die. Go disrupt yourself.
Yeah, disrupt yourself. If it's already keeping you up at night, call Mark, call Mike. We can help.
That's right.
All right, let's see what our announcer has to say, or does our new associate have anything to say?
Do you wanna tell everybody bye? Bye. Okay, well, that was good.
That was
nice
excellent. All right, we'll see you next week.
So go ahead and tweet that, or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.